Now with Assertive Yield in the mix, we've been able to reduce our overall QPS by greater than 40%, which has been wonderful for us. Hi, my name is Jesse Fisher. I oversee our advertising products at Connatix. So I'm on the product team. Been here for about 14 months. The main role, the main focus is to ensure that we're maximizing efficiency and effectiveness for our publishers, but then also really giving our advertisers something they can tap into to achieve performance and scale. So Connatix is, we've been around for around a decade. Really started off as an online video player for publishers. The way they integrate with us is very direct, so it's a code on page integration. Our video player allows them to serve, the right content to the right consumer at the right time to maximize user experience on their sites. But it also comes with a bunch of monetization. So we have our own ad serving capability. We're also an exchange directly connected to the demand side, and that powers a whole bunch of really great programmatic solutions that maximize CPMs for our publishers and also give our advertisers something unique and differentiated they can tap into from a supply perspective. So there's everything from how do I set this up in the system, when I have too many things to upload all at once? Do I have the right bulk tools to, hey, I'm not seeing the delivery or the performance I need. What buttons do I push? What levers do I pull? And then after the campaign is over, how do I provide the right insights to get the upsell, to get the renewal? So the main challenges there are that it's so manual and it's such an art, and there's no one way to kind of do it. And there are always ways to improve it and to make it more of an efficient process where, you can save time, for the end user, for the ad operations person. So it's kind of finding the balance between like controlling the outcomes and moving fast. We were kind of capping it, I guess you could say, in a basic way, saying, okay, if you have 10,000 QPS, we're going to basically send you somewhat of a random, sample of our supply, but we'll make sure that we don't go above 10,000. It was a little bit of a hard, QPS, cap. So yeah, those were some of the challenges we were facing, which kind of brought us to needing a solution. But there's also the opportunity cost of not getting a higher bid, because you exposed, the cream of the crop as opposed to, something that was more of like a baseline bid. So that was the challenge, was sort of knowing how to do that. But I would say it's also a future opportunity now. Now that we have something more automated in place, with Assertive Yield, we see a huge runway, to continue improving and surfacing, better and better bids. Looking for solutions to make all of our bids smarter, to have more machine learning behind what to send, what not to send. And really the solution that we were seeking was how do we look at our bid stream as sort of this like universe of options, and how do we get really smart about what we choose to send in a way that maximizes the advertiser budget, also maximizes performance. And if you think about the genesis of supply path optimization, it's because there were too many ways to buy from pubs. Now the DSPs are starting to catch on that, hey, there's fewer ways, and if we actually cut out some of the weak links and we cut out some of the the waste or the weaker paths, we're not going to see a loss of revenue. We're actually going to see better performance. We're going to be able to reduce infrastructure costs because we're not going to have as much supply to kind of weed through. And we're going to have happier advertisers who feel like we're on the cutting edge. Today we're using Assertive Yield's traffic shaping solution. And the way it works is that we are having Assertive Yield listen to all of our bids and essentially respond back to us with a yes or no decision. This is a good one to send. This is maybe not the best one to send. And ultimately that decision comes down to us using the signals we're collecting, from the traffic shaping solution. And it helps us to inform what we send and how much we send to each of our bidders. And that's basically what this solution is, at the highest level. There's other ways to expand and to do more with that solution. And we kind of have that in our backlog, but that's the basic version that we're using today. But we are excited to try two new things. One of them is there is a beta called loss capping, where we can go in and say, we only want this much revenue loss. Let's back into the right QPS volume to get to that revenue loss and maybe even exceed that objective. And the second one, which is probably just as exciting, is the ability to send custom metadata. We're allowed a certain number of fields that we can send over. And what's really cool about that is it gives us the ability to apply some of our secret sauce, to the Assertive Yield algorithm in a way that it brings more value to our demand partners and also our advertisers, because we can now say that we have our own proprietary flavor and we've co-developed something. So I'd say the dilemma of buy versus build is really answerable The ability to co-develop and to sort of build with the third-party partner that we're using, to build with the Assertive Yield is interesting, right? Because it's sort of a hybrid model. Like you're buying, but you're also building and you're co-developing. And maybe long-term, it becomes complementary. But at least in the short term, it's a great solution. I would say the game has changed in a way where it's now just way more automated. All of the manual steps I was talking about before now just become much easier. The truth is, our programmatic operations team doesn't even have to log in and do anything. It's all set up, via like the UI and/or API, and it just makes it very easy to keep everything moving quickly. It's been a game changer. We now have greater confidence that we are managing our caps more efficiently and with fewer discrepancies. We know that we're in a good spot through all the testing that we did, and that's after being live for several months, which is a really good feeling. So far, it's been a great ride with the team. We saw some great demos. We had the chance to meet, Assertive Yield CEO, who's very helpful and very hands-on, very technical. Anytime we get stuck or have a question, we pretty much get an immediate answer. And the experience has been very, very nice. Like with any new product or any new solution, there's always growing pains and bumps along the way, but we've never really been left for more than 24 hours, without knowing what the next steps are. Now with Assertive Yield in the mix, we've been able to kind of take our own solution, add a lot more firepower to it, and collectively, between our own solution complemented by Assertive Yield, we've been able to reduce our overall QPS by greater than 40%, which has been wonderful for us. So we've been able to get rid of a lot of noise, in a way that gives us confidence with a lot of sophistication, with of course more runway, because we can start doing the metadata thing we talked about before, to make it even better over time. But it's been super, super helpful for us, as a collective effort. And as far as how that has looked from a revenue perspective, it's been positive. And now as a collective, we just have that much more confidence going forward. The testing and the setup process was pretty seamless. A lot of our developers ended up working directly, with the Assertive Yield development team over Slack. There were some follow-up calls. Let's put it this way, this wasn't exactly super plug and play from an integration perspective, just because there's so much customization that had to go into it. It's not a one size fits all integration. Every supply partner's inventory is going to come with nuances. Each demand partner is going to have their own nuances. And we have a list of demand partners that might be a little bit different than other clients. So given the fact that it was very custom, given the fact that we needed so much support, it took 4 to 6 weeks to get everything set up, but we don't see that as being too long. That was sort of expected. And overall, I would say it was a great process. Nothing is fully seamless, but we had the Slack channel, and we had a very hands-on, team, including, Assertive Yield CEO, Nils, who's been great and helpful. We would talk about this being a fairly seamless integration, a great way to establish more confident, QPS reduction overall, and really an evolution in the way that, SPO algorithms are going to be tweaked. Really a smart way to think about the future. I think today there's a lot of ways to kind of do it, and there's almost too many options. And what I would really say is like, hey, working with a partner like Assertive Yield, you're going to get a lot of consultation, and it's going to narrow down those options because there's so much learning and there's so much knowledge, on that side that it takes away some of the guesswork. We've been able to fairly significantly reduce our costs because not only is it more sustainable, to have less volume going through, but we know for sure, that it's actually a good thing for the industry, to have less volume, especially less volume, when you think about how much volume doesn't get monetized. And number two, that comes with a lot of, infrastructure reduction costs, which I would say pretty easily, offset the costs of doing business with a third party. When you talk about partnerships, partnerships are not free. They come with their own costs, but that is nicely, balanced, against infrastructure reduction. And then all of the benefits you get from an RPM perspective, an SPO perspective, advertiser performance, I would say all of those become gravy.